until they convert. So that's one way. The next way is by keeping people in third world countries, then they have lots more babies and Islam can spread that way. And third, by deception, by deceiving them and tricking them to thinking that Islam promotes women's rights and Islam promotes science and Islam is wonderful and that the Quran has been perfectly preserved. All these things that are absolutely false. You trick people into converting to Islam. Because again, once you are in Islam, it's hard to get out. Here in the West, lots of people do leave, and again, most people do leave. But in Muslim countries, once you're in, you're there.
For instance, like Holland, we've been hearing a lot of Islam and advances in Holland, but to see the percentage of the Muslim population towards the Dutch population is a very small percentage. Mm-hmm. And it's still, maybe they speak louder, they are shouting more, or even in France, this is the most condensed Islamic population there in Europe, in France itself. Then comes Britain and then Germany. Still, when you compare it percentage-wise with the population, it's not making sense to me.
The concern is, I mean, just as a real-world example, think of Lebanon. Lebanon had a majority Christian population, and in just a few decades, that changed. That changed until it's a majority Muslim population, and it's mostly because of birth rates. It's mostly because the Muslims were just having more kids. That's the concern. A population of a country can change very quickly, can change in just a few generations if those generations have high birth rates. So that's why people are worried.
Even if they fix their immigration policies.
Yeah, so that's one thing. They have immigration as well. But yes, even if all immigration stopped right now, if all let's say the United Kingdom. Let's say the United Kingdom stops immigration right now. We're not allowing any more Muslims in the country. If the Muslims have 3 times as more kids as the rest of the United Kingdom, it's only a matter of time. Now again, though, the Muslims could completely westernize and have the same number of kids. But if they don't and they continue having more children, it's just a simple matter of mathematics. It doesn't matter if you start with 2. If you start with 1 Muslim husband and 1 Muslim wife, and they have 3 times as many kids, and it keeps going every generation, they will eventually outnumber you. It's straightforward mathematics. So that's the concern of people. I'll be honest, as long as Muslims don't take over the country, I love having Muslims in the United States. I love having Muslims in the West, because that makes it easy. I mean, think about it. Back in the day, if you wanted to talk to Muslims, you had to go into a Muslim land where you're going to get killed. You're going to get killed for speaking against Islam. When Muslims come to the West, that allows us to interact with Muslims, to show that Islam is false, and we do it in the West where we're protected by laws, and they can't kill us. Every once in a while they do, but generally they can't.
Let me ask you another question. Did the church itself lost its challenge to reach out to Muslims? That's why the number is growing. If the church in Europe is not doing something to face the challenge, of course, the politician is not going to meet the challenge. If here in our American atmosphere here, the church has something to do for that, what we're facing today.
Yes, and lots of, I mean, as someone who interacts with Islam, I know the vast majority of churches do not care. And if you try to get them interested, we don't want to deal with that one. We don't want to be Islamophobic, or we don't want to put forth the effort, or no, they'll kill us or something like that. But it's always some reason not to be concerned about the issue of Islam. And why? I mean, come on, this is the largest religion next to Christianity in the world. This is the second largest religion on the planet. 1.5, at least about 1.5 billion Muslims in the world. If you're as a church going to focus on evangelizing someone, who are you going to focus on? That's the biggest group. That's the biggest non-Christian group. Surely every church should be interested in witnessing to Muslims.
This is niche prayer. Actually, if you're telling me they don't want to wake up to this challenge, I mean, if you watch the news on a daily basis, what is going to take us to wake up? If we're watching day and night and hearing in every part of the world, even in America itself, and we don't want to. So it's a challenge to us. So what other ways that our Muslims are playing in Europe or the Western atmosphere to try to control these countries or these continents in the future.
Oh, all kinds. I mean,
Yes.
in
I know
Muslim,
money is involved. What
yeah,
more than money?
in Muslim countries, you're not allowed to criticize Islam. You're not allowed to disagree with Islam. You're usually not allowed to evangelize. If you are legally allowed to evangelize, you still can't do it safely because any random Muslim might get violent.
If you cannot
but
express,
that's over there. That's over there. Over here, different methodology of controlling
this is
people.
what I'm coming to. What is the different methodology?
Here, take an organization like CARE. They believe that they control the media, and I can't disagree with them because they have done an outstanding job of taking control of all the major media organizations. And think about this, over and over again, Muslims launch terrorist attacks around the world. Here in the United States, Muslims are killing people in honor killings or by other means or by terrorist attacks. Almost no Muslims have been killed in response. I think one Muslim was killed after 9/11 that was actually killed as a hate crime. Jews, if you look at statistics, Jews are actually far more persecuted in the United States than even Muslims are. Far more. The statistics are Jews are persecuted far more horribly than any Muslims here. And yet, CARE has done an outstanding job convincing us that Muslims are these persecuted people, that Muslims are victims. So Muslims in Muslim lands they're persecuting Christians, they're killing Christians who walk out of church, they're raping Christians, they're forcing people to convert. Over here, Muslims live in peace and are killing far more. Muslims are killing far more people over here than we're killing, and yet Muslims portray themselves as the victims. And CARE has been able to control the media by any criticism of Islam. If you criticize Islam in the newspaper, CARE will immediately contact you and say, it's gonna be a Holocaust. People are gonna start killing us because of this. If you say that Islam promotes violence, or if you say that Muslims are commanded to fight unbelievers, which you are in 929, if you say this, people are going to hate us and they're going to want to fight us. Are you trying to be Hitler? Are you trying to cause a Holocaust against Muslims in the United States? Oh, we can't believe this. Do you see this hate speech? Do you see this racism? Do you see this Islamophobia? And the next time that newspaper writes an article, you can bet they're going to be very, very careful about what they say. They don't want to be labeled as people who hate Islam or racist or anything like that. And what you have over a period of time is that groups will start taking everything out of Islam. Take the recent, just a couple weeks ago, the man, I think it was in Chicago, who killed his family. He killed his family because they weren't conforming to Islam, and he believes that the Quran commanded him to kill. That the Quran commanded them to kill because they were not obedient to Islam. The Chicago newspaper that initially reported it said this man believed that Allah was commanding him in the Quran to kill his family because they were not conforming to Islamic values. The Associated Press, when they published their version of the story, it said a man killed his family because he believed he was hearing voices. No mention of Islam, no mention of him believing that the Quran commanded it, no mention of him killing because his family was not conforming to Islamic values. It was a random man believed that he was hearing voices telling him to kill his family. If you heard about this, you'd think the man was just nuts. He was hearing voices. He was schizophrenic. He had some sort of weird disorder. So they take all the details out. Why? Because if you put the word Islam in there, organizations like CARE are going to say, how dare you put this up? How dare you say this? You're trying to get us killed. You're trying to get people to slaughter Muslims. Why are you so racist? Take another example, the recent bus campaign in Miami. Now, Muslims themselves had a bus campaign calling Jesus a prophet of Islam, calling Moses a prophet of Islam, calling Jesus a prophet of Islam. Now, do Christians believe that? No. Is it offensive to say that Jesus was a Muslim? Yes. Is it offensive to Jews to say that Moses was a prophet of Islam? Of course. But we understand that here in America, the law protects your rights to proclaim your religion. We understand that. And so if you hire a bus sign so that you can proclaim your religion, Christians and Jews understand you have that legal right. Now, a group that's critical